All right, guys, moving on, we're going to go over the hip bump triangle. This is probably my personal favorite attack from the closed guard. It has a super high degree of success, and it's ultra predictable. The reason being is if you have me locked inside of your closed guard and I'm in proper base and balance, it's extremely difficult for you to attack me. Attempting to attack when I'm in proper base, balance, posture, things like that, it's not even worth your time, because generally all you're doing is just running face first into a wall and things aren't going to work out. For instance, Tim, if you're in guard, please. If we're here, for Tim to really attempt anything, just play around a little bit. Yeah, I can push him back. If he shoots a triangle at me, I can posture, arm locks. If you go to arm lock, I can protect. It's not the end of the world. It's not impossible to get me, but I can throw. I have a roadblock I can throw in your way every single time that you try to attack. So rather than spending your closed guard and opening up and giving up your control without off balancing our opponent, what you want to be doing is knocking him off base and putting him to a choice. For instance, here I am, I'm in the closed guard. If I get knocked off balance, I have two choices: fall or put my hand down. It's that simple. Right now, if I'm leaning to my right, my weight's on my right leg, I can step my left leg up. But if you knock me to my left, I don't have another limb on this side other than my arm. I have two choices. Either I place my hand on the mat to prevent myself from falling, or I fall. There's no two ways about it. No amount of skill can get you around that part, can get you around that mechanical fact. That's just the way it is. So you could have a white belt and you could have Hicks and Gracie, and they will have to have that same choice. The only difference is white belt goes like this. Hickson goes like this. Or maybe he uses mind bullets to stop himself from falling, but everyone else would have to go like this. And the better you are, the faster that's going to be. But now, if we can take advantage of that time, you are going to have an awesome opportunity to triangle, because triangling me right now is difficult. Triangling me now, you can't miss. So, let's get right to it. Before you can get into the hip bump sweep, before we can get into the hip bump triangle, we have to understand the hip bump sweep. So, understand your opponent's base. I want to knock Tim over to the back corner, not laterally, not to the side. He's too strong here. Also, I don't have the means to apply force laterally. I can only go to that back corner. So from here, what I need to do is align my body in a way that's going to allow me to push Tim like that. I have to do it. So my hands are occupied. And if I push Tim without covering his base, he can step his foot up. So what we're going to do is we open our closed guard, and I'm going to drop my knee directly next to Tim's. Not on top, because if I do this, Tim can scoot his knee out. For every inch I push him, he can adjust. So watch, if I'm here and pushing and Tim can move his knee, no luck. If we come back, if I'm here and I push Tim, he can't move his knee. It's not a matter of skill, it's simply he can't move his knee, he's stuck. So our knee is going to drop directly around our opponents, and we're covering our shin to their shin, our knee to their knee, on the floor, not up here. One of the most common mistakes with the bump sweep is you see people doing this. Tim can just hit me right back in. Notice how he adjusted his base? He's going to stop me every time. So, other side of this now is the foot. I don't want to push Tim sideways. If I'm going to sprint here, I align my foot up in opposition to wherever I want to go. If I'm going to get tackled head on, I align my foot up directly opposite to where the force is receiving from. So if I decide I want to push Tim there and my shin is down, I can't have my foot up here. I'm primed to go backwards, not forwards. So we're going to load our foot up in opposition to our shin so that we can hip up and knock into him. So here we are. When I turn to knock Tim over, my foot can't be up here. It comes behind me so that I can drive with my hip and knock him over backwards. All right. The reason, again, that we're covering that in so much detail is your hip bump sweep ability is directly proportional to your hip bump triangle ability. If you can't knock me over, you can't hit this triangle. However, if you can, you will be so successful with this, it's ridiculous. So, if we come back, all I need to do is knock Tim's arm out of the way. So we come up. In this particular case, I don't necessarily want to bring him down. So here, I'm going to start by grabbing his wrist, pulling him forward, which is going to encourage him to do what? When I pull you, you generally pull me. When I push you, you generally push me. So I pull. He pulls back, and I'm holding on to his arm. Ordinarily with this sweep, you'll see people covering up and trying to cover the arm. But here, I don't want to stop him. I'd love to have him post his arm. So we drive forward. Now, I'm going to crystal ball my arm around his head. This is absolutely critical. An error that I made when I first started doing this was I would fall back, creating space. That's no good. When I jump my hips up, I'm holding onto the back of Tim's head, and I'm going to throw my right leg up across the back of his shoulders. The idea is to suspend myself in midair and attach myself to Tim. Notice here, my left leg is ultra light. I can't miss. We're locking the triangle in midair. I don't want to fall and try to lock. I get too far away from him, and Tim's just going to snatch that arm back inside. He's going to see it coming. Low-level opponent may not see it coming, but remember, we don't care about beating white belts, blue belts, purple belts, brown belts. You want to beat black belts. And even if you don't want to beat black belts eventually, even if you don't want to beat an elite-level competitor, train like you want to beat those guys, and beating everyone else will be a lot easier. So we sit up. I can either drag his arm across and then let it go, or anytime your opponent doesn't have proper defenses in the way, we can just knock it out of the way, sit and bump. Now, very important, I'm hitting Tim with my hip. If I have my body hollowed out, it doesn't quite work. My butt sticking backwards is not going to get it done. I need to drill him with my hip. So you might want to pull that foot in. I don't want to put you over. So we're here. I'm drilling him with my hip as hard as I can, and that's going to knock him over. So we sit up. Tim has his hands on me. I pull up. Boom, knock him back. Rotate the arm around the head. Leg comes up. I'm suspended in the air. We lock and threaten the triangle. At regular speed, this is what it looks like. It happens very quickly. An alternative grip for you guys is you don't necessarily remember, because we're not touching the arm. Ordinarily, when you come up for this sweep, people will bring the arm across. It's not necessary. You don't always have to do it. I can come up and I can clothesline Tim instead. I'm trying to like crack him in the neck with a collar tie if I choose to. So here, when I knock an arm out of the way, you can keep your arm on the near side so that you add to the force of your hip with a push. Because this is where the hand needs to be anyway. If I start over here, it has to come here anyway. So you can either A, sell the sweep a little bit more by grabbing here, or B, don't sell it. But remember, it doesn't matter if they know the triangle's coming. What happens if you don't post that arm? Well, that was hardly devastating. Like, this worked out just as well. So even if you train with someone every single day, or they have a lot of tape on you, like I've had to deal with that in my entire competitive career, people having tons and tons of video available to watch, it doesn't matter if I know it's coming. I have two choices. You give me two bad choices and make me pick one, I'm in some trouble either way. So remember, foot in opposition to where you want to go. So here we are, not out like this, right here. Plant, drill him with your hip. You can clothesline him with the arm. Leg comes up over their shoulder, foot kicks through, you need to be locked before you land. So one last time at regular speed. And that's that.